Most of the viewers or subscribers out there are watching me and know me for the kickboxing belts behind me. It's what I've done in kickboxing that has you guys interested in me. But we need to remember that I have years and years of experience in martial arts, pretty much since I was about 7 years old, because my father wanted me to be able to defend myself. He wanted to know if somebody ever attacked me, I'd be able to put a stop to that street fight and walk out safely. So today for you guys, I'm going to give you the 5 tips that I teach for street self-defense. The first thing I want to let you guys know is I have never been in a street fight where I've actually had to hit somebody. And my first tips today are going to be how to put a stop to a street fight before it even happens. And these have actually worked for me because yes, I've had people try to instigate things with me and I just calmly deal with the situation, and a lot of it is body language. And the first 2 tips are going to help you so much. Now before we get started, I want you guys to keep in mind that a lot of times street fights are avoidable, right? There's very few instances where I am going to actually let my hands fly on the street. And that pretty much comes down to my safety is compromised so much that I don't see an opportunity to run, to leave the situation if it escalates to that. And that's basically going to come down to the fact that there is somebody who's just not letting me go, and they're basically right there, or there's somebody else in the situation that I need to defend who cannot defend themselves properly, and now I'm stepping in between 2 people, and that will be the next situation. But for the most part, you can get yourself out of fights if you really want to. And a lot of times keeping in mind that putting in the work at the gym, putting in that work constantly, which is going to make you not want to do anything on the street. Your ego is gone. You have nothing to prove. And let's face it, you're tired and exhausted from all the work and energy that you've expelled at the gym. So if you keep that in mind, hopefully if somebody ever comes up and pushes you or says something, you're just like, okay, dude, and you can walk away safely. And that's what usually happens for me. I've had 1 or 2 times where people have swung at me and I just block the shot and I go, you know what? I don't need to hit this guy back. I've de-escalated the situation by him swinging at something and not actually having success, and that was it. But yeah, enough of that. Let's move in to tip number 1. The very first thing I want to do as soon as I feel an altercation arising, as soon as I feel threatened, is to take a step back. I need to create distance. And as I take a step back, I want to tell this guy, I want to show him with my hands that I don't want to fight. But at the same time, make sure I'm ready to defend myself. I do not want to take a classic fighting stance because this looks like I want to fight. Number 1, it might egg him on to do a little bit more. He might think, oh, this is an opportunity to start throwing. But number 2, for anybody who's watching, they might go, okay, if it ever wound up in court or something like that, they might go, yeah, Gabriel had his hands up in his fighting stance and he wanted to fight. So remember, as soon as something happens, step back, hands high. I can defend myself from here just as well from here. But from here, it doesn't look like I want to fight. And usually that is a good situation to be in where I can de-escalate the situation just by having my palms up and not looking aggressive. Tip number 2 from here is to talk. And this has worked for me. And I just look somebody in the eye. I don't look away, I don't look scared, but I'm also not aggressive, and I just say, yo, I don't want to fight. I really don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. Let's just leave and call it a day. And in my experience, this has effectively worked. But again, it's all about not coming across aggressive, because if I start screaming at this guy, again, he's going to go, oh, that's an invitation to fight because this guy's being really aggressive. But I also don't want to be, sheepish and no, I don't want to fight, because if he's a bully, he's going to take that as an opportunity to pounce on somebody who's weak. So just nice and firm. I don't want to fight. You don't want to do this. Let's just call it a day. Works for me. Worked for me 2 times in my life so far where I've just talked my way out and told people that's enough. Let's leave it. Tip number 3, and I've talked about this on the channel before. I was asking people, what do you think about utilizing kicks in street self-defense, in particular a low kick or a kick to the groin? And the overall consensus was, yes, this will work, and I will agree with them. If I take my foot, especially with a shoe, and I come up the middle for a front kick or around the side for a round kick to the thigh, both of those are going to be very effective. Especially if I'm trying to just get out of there, I slam in a low kick. Most people don't have the conditioning to take a low kick, and then you can leave. I like this idea, this long kick situation, because it keeps me out of punch range. My next two techniques are closer when the situation has gone beyond what we're doing right now. But let's say, for instance, I've tried to talk my way out. This guy is getting really aggressive. Maybe my wife's behind me, and I'm like, you know what? I just want to end this situation right now because this guy is getting ridiculous. Slam it in and go, or right to the groin and go. Both of these techniques are going to be very hard for anybody to catch, and chances are this guy's not going to be able to rush me fast enough as I throw my kick for him to evade. So one of those two techniques, to the groin with the front kick, or big foot or lower shin to the thigh, is step number 3. Step number 4 is when somebody starts really getting aggressive on you. You've put your hands up, you've told them you don't want to fight, you haven't bothered with the kick because they just start walking in on you. We need to remember that without gloves, if I throw a punch and I hit somebody's head, there's a good chance I'm going to break my own hand. Definitely hurt my hand. I like the palm fist. It's essentially got the exact same power, but I can throw it really hard. I could throw it against a concrete wall, and I'm not going to break my hand. Whereas like this, definitely going to hurt myself. So I've stepped back, I put my hands out, this guy all of a sudden rushes towards me, boom, palm fist, right to the jaw, or if you're feeling really mean, right to the nose, and that should shut things down very fast. Again, it'll give you that opportunity at that point to leave, because it's all about self-defense. We're not getting in a street fight. We're not jumping on the guy now and letting him have an extra beating because he's being ridiculous. We exit as soon as we can and as soon as we feel that it's safe to leave. And the final tip is what happens if this guy just rushes in. Most people are going to throw big, wide punches. What do we do from there? Well, we're still going to utilize the palm fist, but first we have to block the initial attack. Now, in street self-defense, the one time where I did have somebody swing at me, I had two situations. They swung once, they swung again. I went up and blocked this way. I like this way. This is not the way I would normally block in a kickboxing fight, but there are some boxers like Lennox Lewis who will block hooks like that. It's very nice, very effective, because when I block like this in street self-defense, I'm taking knuckles to the head. Even if my hand gets across, it's still going to really hurt. So we block far away, we stop the shot before it has any chance of hitting us, and then right after, we slam that palm fist in. And the timing is not 1, 2, it's not, it's boom. I utilize the force of the block to throw the back shoulder in right away after. And we're trying to catch this guy right here, boom, when he's stretched out, because most people's jaw is going to go high, and then one hit, and hopefully that'll put them down and you can safely leave now and just have the situation done with. I never have had to go as far as step 5, where I've had to block and hit back. In my experience, all I had to do was block, and then I went back to step number 1. And at that point now the guy went, oh shoot, I tried to hit this dude and it didn't land. And maybe if I hit him again, now he'll respond. So the guy just went, that's enough, and nothing further arose from it. But street self-defense is a tricky thing. The big thing I say is leave ego aside. If you leave ego aside, if somebody comes up and pushes you and you're like this, and you don't feel that need to respond right away to hit them back because they disrespected you and pushed you, you can get out. And you can go about the rest of your day and you don't have to worry about being in a street fight. It's when the ego comes in that things go awry. And I've always kept in mind, like I said, if muscle memory comes back and I have to defend myself and I go to the fist, which I use pretty much like 9,999 times out of 10,000. So if I bust that out and I break my hand, I'm going, this is not worth it. Now I can't train. I love training. I just want to be in the gym training. It's not worth me letting my ego get in the way to throw a punch where I hurt myself. I'm better off just, I don't want to fight, and just leaving. So guys, those are my 5 tips for street self-defense. They've served me well, but like I said, you just have to make sure that you try and get out of the situation as fast as you can, and don't worry about putting somebody in their place because they're being an idiot. So guys, if you enjoyed the episode, please give it a like. If you haven't already, join the channel, get subscribed. Train hard, guys. I'll see you back here soon for another video.